The hearing of the Committee of Public Accounts and the Committee of Good Government and Public Accountability is hereby called to order. From the last time, nagkaroon lang po tayo ng suspension ng ating hearing. So we do not need to go through the order of business in the opening of a hearing. Pero bago po tayo magsimula, nais ko lang pong kilalanin ang mga kinatawan na nandito nakasama po natin sa plenaryo ng ating mababang kapulungan. We have here Deputy Speaker Dan Fernandez, Congressman Argel Kabatbat of the Magsasaka Party List, and we also have the President of the National Unification Party, the Honorable Congressman P.D. Barsaga. So to start our session, gusto ko lang po magkaroon ng kaunting summation of some of the points that were discussed the last time. And at the same time, we will open the interpellation. Bubuksan po natin ang mga diskusyon ukol dito sa mga issues, iba't ibang issues tungkol sa Philhealth. Ang ating po mga kasama, binigyan natin pagkakataon na magtanong sila kung ano man po yung mga puntos na hindi pa nila natapos. At kasama rin po dito ang diskusyon sa mga ospital na naimbitahan po natin. So before we start, let me recognize Attorney Marivic, our COMSEC, to recognize the members of the committee who are with us in Zoom and our guests this afternoon. Attorney Marivic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to our members and to our guests. Joining us via Zoom are the following members: Representative Chodorico Jaresco Jr., Representative Stella Kimbo, Representative Emery Owano Dizon, Representative Sara Ilago, and Representative Gabriel Bordado Jr. We also have Deputy Speakers Deo Gracia Sabellano and Deputy Speaker Aurelio Gonzalez Jr. For our resource person, in plenary today, we have the following Senior Vice President Lim Siaco, Dennis Mas, Dr. Pargas, Mr. Labe, and Senior Vice President Aragona, and Senior Vice President Nerissa Santiago. We also have with us today Corporate Secretary Attorney Joseph Mangawang, and board members we have the following board members. Don't have the list. Via Zoom, we have the Philippine Hospital Association, headed by Dr. Jaime Almora, Petronilo Ciares Hospital, the Notre Dame de Chartres Hospital, AMLC. We also have representative from the Commission on Audit, DBM, Department of Foreign Affairs, BTR. Nurse.
Thank you so much, Attorney Marivic Castillon, the Committee Secretary of the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. Before I start, let me just ask Ms. Neri Santiago, di po ba binanggit ninyo doon sa huling nating discussion nung hearing na nagwo-worry kayo doon sa ating pondo ng Philhealth? More or less, I think you still have about 100 billion plus.
Mr. Chair, it's about 110 billion in terms of reserve fund as of December 2019.
110 billion. At doon sa huli nating discussion, sinasabi nyo because of this COVID na ang tingin ninyo baka maubos ang pondong to sa pagsasaayos o yung mga kinakailangan mga bayarin sa pagbayad ng mga pasyente ng COVID.
Yun po ay based on those assumptions na mga projections po ng probable na mababayaran po pagdating sa COVID. In addition to the implementation of the UHC po for this year and next year.
So kasama na po ang COVID at kasama na rin po yung implementasyon ng UHC law na kung saan sakop at ibang sakit. So that, because of that, yung dapat na 10 years projection, maaring next year, maubos na ang pondo natin.
May posibilidad po. Depende po sa ipapasok ng gobyerno at the same time, doon po sa pasok ng pera from the direct contributors po.
Okay, so if I may show the slide please, nung presentation, and this is just a short summary before we begin. Ito po yung interim reimbursement mechanism. At gusto ko pong particular, tanungin si SP Pargas. Di ba sabi niyo po, SP Pargas, na yung mga probable suspect ay kasama doon sa maaring kabilang na mga pasyenteng dapat bayaran sa COVID?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please. So if we may go to the next slide. Tama po yung sinabi niyo, SP Pargas. Ito po ang inyong video kasama ang Chairman ng Public Information, Congressman Ron Salo, na kung saan pinag-usapan. Oh, I'm sorry, HREP. Can we go back to the video? Can we play it? Go ahead.
Yun pong ating circular, sumusunod din po tayo dun sa classification na may probable and suspect. So kung ang initial presentation po would be for the COVID, yan po ay kasama dun sa ating circular po on COVID cases.
So ibig sabihin po, hindi yung kailangan ma-confirm. Kasi based dito sa circular, kailangan confirm ang nakasulat po doon. So ano po ba talaga?
Mr. Chair, tatlo po yan. Meron pong suspect, probable, and confirmed. So pagka po ang pasyente ay na-manage accordingly, kung ito po ay COVID case, especially po nung mga una na wala pa po halos tayong enough or madami na testing facilities, yan po ay covered ng ating COVID cases. Pero kaya po na
Malinaw po, no, yung binanggit ni SP Pargas na yung probable suspect at confirmed ay kasama sa programang ito. Next slide. Next slide, please. So, ito po yung Philhealth circular na binabanggit nila. Benefit packages for inpatient care of probable and confirmed COVID-19 developing severe illness outcomes. Yan po yung 2020-009. Next slide, please. Nakalagay po dyan, number 1, suspect case is a person who is presenting with any of the following conditions: severe acute respiratory infection, where no other etiology fully explains the clinical presentation. Ang nakakatakot po dyan yung number 2B, yung sinabi lang with contact to a confirmed or probable case of COVID-19.
Yes.
Tama po ba yan, Mr. Pargas?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So ito pong dito sa Kongreso, may mga kasamahan kami na nag-positive o yung mga probable, yun lang pong nakasama ko siya sa isang kwarto at siguro nagkaubo ako o pumunta akong ospital, nagpa-check up ako sa ibang problema at sinabi ng ospital na COVID, maaari na po siyang i-count as one of those under the package. Tama, Mr. Pargas?
Ito po yung definition natin ng suspect cases. Pero kung titingnan po natin, doon po sa ating packages for the inpatient, katulad po halimbawa, kung ikaw ay may mild symptoms of the pneumonia, nakalagay din po doon na ang pwede po nating bayadan are those who are in the elderly or with comorbidities.
Simple question, Mr. Pargas. Ang sinasabi ko nga, wag naman sana si Congressman Kabatbat, naging probable, napalapit ako sa kanya, pumunta ako ng ospital at sinabi ko na ito yung sitwasyon at syempre, kunyari ho, inuubo ako, maaari na akong makasama doon sa cases na to.
Again, Mr. Chair, hindi rin po kasi kung umuubo lang po kayo and all, kasama po dun sa ating, so kung considered po as mild, ang atin pong consideration, meron po tayong nakasulat na in the elderly or with comorbidities. Otherwise po, papasok po tayo either doon sa hindi kailangang ma-confine na kung saan meron po tayo ng community isolation package.
Anyway, Mr. Pargas, I do not understand what you're saying because again, if you look at the slide, 1, 2, and 3. Hindi po sinabing dapat may comorbidity ka, hindi sinabing dapat senior ka. Pakita ko natin ulit ang slide. Yan po, 1, 2, and 3. With contact to a confirmed or probable case with no other etiology that fully explains the clinical presentation. So yan po.
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair. Pero quinalify po natin doon sa circular dahil nga po may pagkakataon na hindi naman kailangang ma-confine or walang comorbidities na maaaring mas maging magpalala doon sa sakit na kaya po yung mga mild ay na with comorbidities or elderly, yun po yung babayadan lang natin for confinement.
Where is that in the circular?
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
kindly
before you answer, Mr. Pargas, i-present ko na rin tapos sagutin mo isa sa probable cause. Sinabi niyo po, probable. Next slide, please. Nakalagay po dyan, suspect who underwent testing, suspect case from laboratory testing for COVID-19 is inconclusive. Suspect for testing could not be performed for any reason. Letter B, probable cause. Tama po ba yan?
Yes po. Ito po yung mga definition of terms, Mr. Chair.
Exactly.
Yes po.
So confirmed case naman, hindi na natin pagdidibatihan, nagkaroon ka ng confirmation. Now, Mr. Pargas, ito po yung mga packages. Next slide, please. Yan na po. Matagal na pinag-usapan yan. 43,000, 143,000, 333,000, and 786,000. No debate. Tama po yan, Mr. Pargas. Ano po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Next slide. Ang sabi po ng Department of Health, we have 774 cases. Kung tama po tayo, Mr. Pargas, yung pong 80% ng mild, positive na ho to, papasok na po siya sa package ng 43,997.
Mr. Chair, katulad po ng inyong ipinakita na slide prior to this, yun pong may mga pakete, nakalagay po doon yung sa severity.
No, I'm just, binalagay ko na sa pinakamababang package of 43,000. Dahil positive sila, dapat, di ba, nandun sila sa 43,000.
Yung positive po, as confirmed, yes po.
Okay. So tama yan. 6 billion 89,184,800. Is that correct? At 43,000 lang po yan. Hindi ko nilalagay yan ng moderate.
Kung yan po yung mga naka-confine for the packages, yes po. Yan po maaari yung babayadan natin.
Okay. Next slide. Confirmed cases at 20% na lang ho to. Ginawa ko, 20%, 90% ay ginawa ko lang na severe. Severe lang, 90%. Hindi ko ginawang critical dahil mas mahal. So, 31,278 cases times 333,509. That is 10,431,807,282 pesos. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank
Kung
you.
yan po yung mga confine.
At kung ginawa ko naman doon sa nalalabing 34,754, gagawin ko pong 10%. That's 3,475 cases. That's 2.7 billion pesos. 2,732,684,400 pesos. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Kung yan po yung stats.
So lumalabas po, dito lang po sa programa natin, 19,253,676,482 pesos. Versus, dun sa pinag-uusapan na po natin na at the most, it should be about 4 billion pesos. So tama ho si actually Neri, kung pagbabatayin tong ginawa ninyong polisiya, you will hit 20 billion. Considering the present case. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
At gagawin ko pa ho, gagawa lang ako ng 300,000 na suspect at probable. Total ng 300,000 cases ng suspect at probable, 13,199,100,000 pesos. Tama po ba yan?
Mr. Chair, kung ito po ay papasok doon sa criteria ng moderate or severe or critical, yun po yung maaaring maibayad sa kanila. Hindi po ito ibig sabihin na porke suspect or probable lamang. Because yun
Hindi
pong
po
ating-
sila confirmed. Hindi sila confirmed COVID because we already have the confirmed. Ginawa na po natin yon. But ang nakalagay po sa inyo, suspect and probable.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So pwede ito. Tama.
Yes po. Basta,
Thank you.
opo,
Thank you.
managed po as COVID.
At pagka ginawa ko na pong pinagsama-sama ko lahat, next slide please. You put 19 billion plus 13 billion together, that is 32 billion pesos. Nilagay ko lang ho sa 300,000 yung suspect and probable. So Mr. Chair, the last time I was calling for the withdrawal of the IRM funds, I think we should rethink our position. Ang sinabi lang natin, suspend. Nakakatakot po masyado at talaga po mauubos ang pondo ng Philhealth. Policy pa lang ho, nagsisimula sa policy ang corruption. When you have a wrong policy, dun po lumalabas yung corruption. Kaya po when we started with the Philhealth, now we will go to the hospitals, makikita po natin, and I've seen the cases that you have submitted to this committee, yung corruption na nangyari sa hospitals. Hindi ko po sasabihin kung may connivance o wala. Pero ang unang-unang mali, Dr. Pargas, is the policy. Para niyo pong sinabi na pagka ikaw ay may ginawang pagnanakaw, pero ang pagnanakaw mo is less than 5,000, hindi i-consider na krimen, maraming magnanakaw ng less than 5,000. Parang ganito po yung nangyari dito. Pinayagan niyo yung polisiya at dito lalabas ang korupsyon. At tama, si Actuary Neri Santiago, given this policy, I would have the same conclusion. Ubos ang pondo ng Philhealth pag nangyari ito. So with that,
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Pargas?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Please be noted also po na ito po yung ating initial policy, but we also have reviewed because during that time po, wala pa pong mga clear guidelines or clear clinico-pathologic guidelines para po dito sa paggagamot ng ating novel disease na SARS-CoV. So kaya po noon ay ang atin pong sinusunod ay yung mga guidelines na patuloy naman po na nababago. Kaya po ito ay nire-review din po natin and technically meron na po tayong review. However, it as approved also by the board, it will have to go through the expert panel para nga po mabago din po natin yung ating mga pakete. At sa ngayon po,
Mr. Pargas, if I
yes,
may
sir.
just quickly cut you, alam nyo ho, maniniwala sana ako, if not for the track record. Ngayong umaga ho, tatanungin ko na kayo, and these were the documents submitted to me. Yung mga suspended cases po ninyo, di ba ho may mga fine and suspension kayo, tama po ba? Tama po, di ba? So ikaw gumagawa ka ng policy, yung legal gumagawa ng mga enforcement, yung mga fraud. Tama? Investigation.
yes, Mr. Chair.
At ang inyong mga parusa ay suspension and fine. Tama po ba? Yung iba, fine. Yung iba, suspension. Iba, suspension and fine. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
O ngayon ho, ngayong umaga lang, sasabihin ko, sino ho ang legal dito? Para lang i-debunk ko, Mr. Pargas, yung sinasabi mo nga na inaayos nyo naman lahat. Sino po dito ang legal? Andito ba si Attorney Del Rosario? Okay, mabilis lang ho. Anyway, isang opisina lang naman po kayo dyan. Alam niyo po ba na ang WellMed, fine lang ang isinampa nyo? Hindi nyo sinampahan ng kahit anong kaso? You have 202 facilities ng fine and you have other facilities na merong suspension and fine. In the case of WellMed, nakapending pa sa board. Hindi pa niya binabayaran ng fine at hindi nyo po siya sinuspend. Now, how can you talk about policy? Since 2013, you had pneumonia. You never corrected it. By 2015, na-correct nyo na dapat yan. I have your own study, yung analytics ninyo ng mga cases. And this was reported to the board. You never changed that policy. Kung ito po, hindi nakita ng Kongreso at ng Senado, ang kinakatakot ko, at mabuti nandito tayo ngayon, nakita natin, yung pulisyang yan, baka hindi ho na bago. at yung kinakatakot natin pagkaubos ng pondo ay baka po talagang nangyari. Pero nandito po kami, binabantayan namin yan at itutuloy natin yung investigasyon. So with that, can I go to